do the screen sharing. Yeah. So in the last class, we have seen the ideal op-amp characteristics. So as I told you, so op-amp has two input terminals. So that is the inverting terminal and non-inverting terminal, and it has one output. So for the two inverting terminals, we will be the two input terminals will be giving the input voltages. So now this op amp has the following ideal characteristics. So infinite voltage gain. So that is the voltage gain is infinite. Input impedance is infinite. Output impedance is zero. So offset voltage is zero. So op amp has infinite bandwidth. Op amp also has infinite CMRR, which is nothing but the common mode rejection ratio. So it has infinite slew rate. So all this we have seen in the last class. So now let us see. So what are present in the op amp? So we have in the op amp representation in its block diagram? So the op amp consists of mainly 4 stages. So let us see the block diagram of op amp. Okay, so it has 4 stages. The first stage is nothing but input stage. So after the input stage, so we have one more stage known as intermediate stage. So after the intermediate stage, so we have buffer and level shifting stage. So the third stage is buffer and level shifting stage. So after this, the final stage is nothing but output stage. Okay, so after that we have the output, and we have that as we discussed. So op amp has two input voltage sources. So that is input to 2 and input to 1. So one is inverting amplifier and one is non-inverting amplifier. So these are the 4 cascaded blocks present in the block diagram of the IC op amp. So the first one is nothing but the input stage. So the input stage requires high input impedance. So in order to avoid the loading on the sources, it requires high input impedance. So it requires 2 input terminals. It also requires 2 low output impedance. All such requirements, that is 2 input terminals and the low output impedance, everything is provided by the dual input balanced output differential amplifier as the input stage. The function of the differential amplifier is to amplify the difference between 2 input signals. The differential amplifier has high input impedance, so therefore this differential amplifier provides as the first stage, and also it provides the voltage gain of the amplifier. So the second stage is intermediate stage. The output of the first stage drives the next stage, so which is known as the intermediate stage. So this intermediate stage also is another differential amplifier. So that may be a dual input unbalanced differential amplifier or single ended output differential amplifier. The overall gain requirement of the op amp is very high. So in order to achieve this high gain, so we have used intermediate stage. The main function of the intermediate stage is to provide additional voltage gain required. So depending upon the voltage gain we required, so we may use any one of the types of differential amplifiers here. Okay, and the third stage is nothing but the buffer and level shifting stage. So all the stages are directly coupled to each other in the op amp. So as the op amp amplifies DC signals also, the coupling capacitors are not used in order to cascade the stages. Okay, hence the DC voltage level of previous stage gets applied as the input to the next stage. Hence, stage by stage DC level increases well above the ground potential, such a high DC voltage level may drive the transistors present in the circuit into saturation region. So this also may cause the distortion in the output in order to limit the maximum AC. So this may also limit the maximum AC output voltage swing without any distortion. So hence, before the output stage, it is necessary to bring any high DC voltage level to 0 volts with respect to ground. So therefore, a level shifter is used in order to bring the DC voltage down to the ground potential with no input applied at the input terminals. Okay, then the signal is applied to the last stage, which is the output stage. So the main important last stage is output stage. The main importance of this output stage is to get the low output impedance, a large area, output voltage swing, and a high current sourcing and sinking capability. So in order to meet these requirements, the last stage will be the push-pull complementary amplifier. So these are the 4 stages in the block diagram of an op-amp. The first 2 stages are nothing but the differential amplifiers. The third stage is buffer and level shifter, and the fourth stage is output stage. So the first stage, in order to have the low output impedance, okay, and also in order to have the high input impedance, we are using the dual input balanced output differential amplifier, and the second stage intermediate stage. So as we know that op amp has high voltage gains. In order to achieve the required amount of voltage gain, so in the intermediate stage also we will be using the differential amplifiers. So after that we have the buffer and level shifting stage. So why we are using the buffer and level shifting stage is since all the stages are coupled directly here, so the DC voltages, so from the previous stage will be directly applied as the input to the next stage. For example, whatever the DC output voltage in this first stage will be applied as the DC input voltage to the second stage. The DC input voltage at the second stage will be applied as the input to the third stage. So due to this, we may get high DC voltage level. So if there is a high DC voltage level, automatically the transistors may be driven into the saturation region. So if the transistors are driven into the saturation region, then what happens? The swing of the output voltage gets reduced. Okay, so in order to overcome that, if there is any high DC output voltage present, that has to be grounded. So in order to ground the DC voltage, so we are using the level shifters here. Okay, so these are the 4 stages of the op amp. So now let us see how you can design a, or how you can see the input stages, or how you can go into the importance of differential amplifiers. Okay, so let us see the importance of differential amplifiers. So in order to see the importance of differential amplifiers here, so differential amplifier. So the next important topic is differential amplifier. Okay. So the differential amplifier amplifies the difference between two input signals. Hence, it is called as differential amplifier. So consider a differential amplifier now. For example, take a differential amplifier. So which is ideal differential amplifier. So ideal differential amplifier. So this differential amplifier consists of two inputs. So let it be V1. One more input, let it be V2. So and take V out, so which is nothing but the output voltage here. V1 and V2 are the two input signals. So while V0 is the single-ended output. So single-ended output means it has only one output present at the output of this circuit. Okay, so and it is grounded. So in an ideal differential amplifier, if you take, so the output voltage Vd should be proportional to difference of two input voltages. So therefore, which is nothing but V0 is directly proportional to V1 minus V2. So why? Because from the definition of the differential amplifier, it shows that this will amplify the difference between two input voltages. So therefore, what you can represent? So V0 is directly proportional to V1 minus V2. So let it be equation 1. Okay. So now we have to remove this proportional here. So therefore, what you can write? V0 is equal to AD into V1 minus V2. So after removing the proportionality, so this equation can be written as V0 is equal to AD into V1 minus V2. Okay, so where AD is the proportionality constant and this AD here, so it is called as proportionality constant. So AD is the gain with which differential amplifier amplifies the difference between two input signals. So what you can write it? So AD is equal to, so V0 by V1 minus V2. So from this, V0 is the output voltage and V1 minus V2 is the input voltages. So from this, what you can say, AD becomes the voltage gain. So AD becomes the voltage gain here. So from this equation 2 here, so what you can write? V0 is equal to AD into VD. Okay, so where VD is nothing but the difference of two input voltages. So what you have taken? So we have taken VD is equal to V1 minus V2. So VD is nothing but the differential voltage between two input voltages. So therefore, let this equation as 3 here. So from 2 and 3, what you can write it as? AD is equal to V0 by VD. Okay, so from the equations 2 and 3, you can write that is from 2 and equation 3, you can write AD is equal to V0 by VD. Okay, so which is nothing but the differential gain. So where AD is nothing but the differential gain. So let us see. So differential amplifier is the circuit so which amplifies the difference between two signals. So V1 and V2. So V1 and V2 are the two inputs here, and V0 is the output of the differential amplifier. So from this, V0 can be written as V0 is proportional to V1 minus V2. So where V0 is equal to AD into V1 minus V2. Okay, so where AD is the proportionality constant, and we are taking the VD is equal to V1 minus V2, where VD is nothing but the differential input voltage between the two terms V1 and V2. So from this, we can derive AD is equal to V0 by VD. Okay, so this is the differential gain here. Okay, so if you want to express this equation, so whatever the equation is here, so let it be equation 4. So let it be equation 4 here. Okay, so it is equation 4. Okay, so if you want to write this in terms of the decibels, so what you can write? So in terms of decibels, so AD is equal to, so 20 log to the base 10, so AD. So that is in terms of dB. How you can write in terms of dB? Okay, so now let us see about the common mode gain. So far we have seen about the AD, which is nothing but the differential mode gain. So now let us see about the common mode gain here. Okay, so now as we have taken, so from the previous equations. Okay, so in the from the equation 2, if you take what is V0, V0 is equal to V1 minus V2 into AD. So from the equation 2 it is. So now if we apply the input voltages which are equal in all respects of the differential amplifier. So whatever the V1 voltage and V2 voltage are there, so these are equal in all aspects. So therefore what it becomes, so V1 is equal to V2 it becomes. If V1 is equal to V2, so then what is V0? So V0 becomes 0 into AD. So therefore gain, what the gain becomes V0, the gain it becomes V0 by 0. So which is not the possible case, okay, the normally here the output becomes 0 here itself. So V0 becomes 0. So output voltage 0. So it is a not a practical case. It has to get some voltage at the output. So for this reason, the we can say that the output not only depends upon the two differential inputs, but also depends upon the average common level of the two input signals. So such an average of two input signals is called as common mode signal. So that is VC. So where nothing but VC is equal to V1 plus V2 by 2. So what you can say that, so the output voltage will become 0 if V1 is equal to V2. So that should not be the case. So that has to be some output. If an operational amplifier or a differential amplifier is working means, so even though if you are giving a 0.1 volts, so it has to be amplified, but it should be 0. Okay, so for this reason, what we say that, so not only a different signal is present, so there also a common mode voltage is applied between the two input voltages. So where VC is equal to V1 plus V2 by 2. Okay, so practically the differential amplifier produces the output voltage proportional to common mode also. Okay, so therefore what you can write is V0 from the equation 4 directly. So V0 is equal to AC into VC. Okay, so where AC is nothing but the common mode gain. So in the previous case, we have taken AD is nothing but the differential mode gain. So when you are considering the difference of two input signals, so when you are considering the common input signal, so then we have to take it as AC. So therefore, the total output differential voltage can be output of differential amplifier can be written as, so V0 is equal to, so we can write it as V0 is equal to AD into VD plus AC into VC. Okay, so where, so this is so this part, so it is due to the differential input signal, and this part is due to the common mode signal. So common mode input signal. So together we are getting the output of the differential amplifier. So this is the main thing. So now let us look. So after this, let us look at about the common mode rejection ratio. So we have said that for an op amp, the common mode rejection ratio is infinite. Okay. So common mode rejection ratio, which is nothing but CMRR. So next one is CMRR. So nothing but common mode rejection ratio. So common mode rejection ratio. When the same voltage is applied to both the inputs, the differential amplifier is said to be operated in the common mode configuration. So many disturbance signals, noise signals appear as a common mode signal to both the input terminals of the differential amplifier. Such a common mode signal should be rejected by the differential amplifier. The ability of a differential amplifier to reject a common mode signal is represented in terms of common mode rejection ratio, so denoted by CMRR. So therefore, common mode rejection ratio CMRR can be defined as the ability to reject a common mode signals. Okay, so therefore it is defined as, denoted as rho, so which is nothing but AD by AC. So or also we can say it as, it is the ratio of differential mode input signal by, so differential mode gain by common mode gain. So ideally the common mode gain is 0, hence the ideal value of CMRR is infinity. So from the ideal characteristics of op amp, we have seen that CMRR should be infinity. So why CMRR is infinity? Because the common mode gain, okay, ideally it is 0. So common mode gain means V1 minus V2. Okay, so whenever the two input signals of the differential amplifiers are same, so V0 is directly proportional to V1 minus V2. So V1 minus V1 and V2 are same automatically. So output voltage is 0. If the output voltage is 0, common mode gain is 0. So therefore CMRR becomes infinity. So this is about the CMRR. So CMRR means, so it is the ability of a differential amplifier to reject a common mode signal. Okay. So for a practical differential amplifier. So far we have seen for the ideal differential amplifier. For the practical differential amplifiers, normally AD is large. So practical amplifiers, differential amplifiers has large value of AD, and AC is small. Why? Because we will give the difference voltages more when compared with the common mode. So the common mode signal when it comes means due to the presence of the noise. So due to the presence of the noise only we get the common mode signal in the differential amplifiers. Otherwise, so there will be some difference between the two input voltages. Okay. So due to this, so here AD is large and AC is small. Automatically, the CMRR will be very large. Okay, so for a practical differential amplifier, AD is normally very large and AC is very small. That is, the common mode gain is very small and the differential gain is very large. So therefore CMRR is will be very large for the practical differential amplifier circuits. So if CMRR is represented in terms of dB, so CMRR is equal to in terms of dB, so 20 log AD by AC, so it is represented in terms of dB. So next, now see how the output voltage can be represented in terms of CMRR. Okay, so what is the output voltage? We have got it from the last equation. Output voltage of the differential amplifier is the combination of differential gain, that is AD into VD plus common mode gain AC into VC. So where AD is the differential gain, PD is the difference of the two input signals, and AC is nothing but the common mode gain, and VC is nothing but the common mode input here. Okay, so now from this, if you take AD into VD as common here, so if you take AD into VD common, so what you get? 1 plus AC into VC divided by, you get AD into VD. So after taking AD into VD common, so you get the equation like this. So what is the equation? 1 plus AC into VC divided by AD into VD. So now from this, V0 is equal to, so AD into VD, so 1 plus, so now what you can write it as? So you can write it as VC divided by, so if you take AC below here, so you can write the equation as AD by AC. So this AC is brought down here. Okay, so AD by AC, so V into VD as usual. Okay, so now it becomes, so AD into VD 1 plus so what is AD by AC? Nothing but the CMRR. So that can be written as 1 by CMRR into VC by VD. So it is the relationship between the output voltage and the CMRR. So from this, what we can see that the CMRR is practically very large and very large. So both VC and VD components are present. The output is proportional to the difference signal only. So it is not proportional to the VC. Okay, the common mode component is greatly rejected. So from this equation, it can be clearly sorted out. So first what we have done, so the output voltage V0 is equal to AD into VD plus AC into VC. So from this, so we have taken AD VD common. So the equation can be written as 1 plus AC into VC divided by AD into VD. So from this, if you bring the AC down here, so it becomes VC by AD by AC into VD. So therefore AD into VD into 1 plus 1 by CMRR into VC by VD. So the CMRR, from this we can say that V naught. So whatever the V naught here is there, so this output voltage V naught is directly proportional to differential gain and the difference of two input voltages, but it is not directly proportional to the common mode gain. So this what you can see from the relationship between the V naught and CMRR. Okay, so the next, let us see the features of differential amplifiers. The features of differential amplifiers are, so there are various features for the differential amplifier. So let us see one by one. The first feature of differential amplifier is, so features of differential amplifiers. Okay, so it can be sometimes I will denote it as DAFF.amp, which is nothing but the differential amplifier. The first one is, it should have high differential voltage gain. Okay, so high differential voltage gain, that means AD should be very large. And second one is low common mode gain. Okay, so that means AC value should be very low. Why? Because once again I repeat this, so normally if you take a differential amplifier, so you get the V naught is directly proportional to V1 minus V2. Okay, so automatically whatever the inputs you are giving to the differential amplifier, it will be varied. So the problem rises only when V1 is equal to V2, and also when you are using these differential amplifiers in the real time scenario. So due to the presence of the noise or due to the presence of the disturbances, so there will be some common mode signals. So that common mode signals will give the common mode gain. So these common mode signals will only occur due to the interference with the external environment or interference with the noise. So therefore the common mode signal should be gain due to the common mode signal should be very low. So that is the important feature. The first one is high differential voltage gain, second one is low common mode gain, and third important feature is it should have high CMRR, that is high common mode rejection ratio. Why it should have high CMRR means, so CMRR is equal to the ratio of AD by AC. So it has the ability to reject the common mode signal. So therefore the differential amplifier should has high CMRR. And fourth one is the differential amplifier should have two input terminals. Okay, so why? Because it has to get the difference of two input signals and amplify that. And next one is it should have, fifth one, high input impedance. So high input impedance. And sixth one is, so in order to get better frequency response, so large bandwidth should be required. And a seventh important point is, so it should have low offset voltage. So low offset voltage means, so even though we are not giving any input values, so the output should be zero, or output should be zero ideally, but in case of practical thing there should be some voltage at the output. So this output should be as low as possible. So next one is low output impedance. So these are the major features of your differential amplifier. Okay, so now let us see a small problem. So if you have the paper or pen with you, so from the next class onwards, so there will be more of equations. Lika is more of equations and Dika will be in terms of the program. So I will be using this whiteboard only in order to write the program or do the theoretical calculations or writing the equations. So more of the PPT I will be using this only. So from tomorrow class onwards, what you do is that you take the rough paper with you and a pen. So meanwhile we will be solving the problems. Okay, so now let us solve a small problem here. So the problem is determine the output voltage of a differential amplifier for the input voltages of 300 microwarts and 240 microvolts. Okay, the differential gain of the amplifier is 5000 and the value of CMRR is 100 and 10 to the power of 5. So what they have given here, we have to, as per the question, determine the output voltage. So we have to find out the output voltage. Okay, of a differential amplifier. So they have given a differential amplifier. So differential amplifier. So what are the input voltages? The input voltages of these differential amplifier. So they have given one as 300 microwatts, microvolts, and second one is 240 microvolts. So V1 they have given as 300 microvolts and V2 they have given as 240 microvolts. Okay, so and it is the output. So what we have to find out, and also they have given the differential gain. So what is differential gain? So differential gain is AD, so which is nothing but 5000, and also they have given the value of CMRR value. So CMRR value is first value is 100 and second value is 10 to the power of 5. Now based on this value, so we have to find out the output voltage. So now what is CMRR? So first, so CMRR is equal to, so it is 100 they have given. So what is the formula of CMRR? So CMRR is equal to CMRR is equal to so what is CMRR? So CMRR is equal to, so VD, sorry, AD by AC. Okay, so now AD by AC, AD by AC. So differential gain they have given. So what is the differential gain they have given? It is 5000 here. So from this you can find out the value of AC. Okay, so from this what you can do, CMRR first value, so 100 they have given, so AD is 5000 they have given. So now from this AC value, okay, so now from this if you take, so 0 0 or 0 0 gets cancelled, so therefore AC value is 50. So common mode we have given the we have got AC is equal to 50. So now next we have to find out the output voltage. So what is the output voltage equation? V0 is equal to AD into V plus AC into VC. So now you got the value of AD, so which is nothing but 5000 into what is the value of VD? So differential of two inputs. So VD is nothing but the difference of two inputs. So which is nothing but V1 minus V2 plus. So AC is what you got 50. So VC is what VC we got. So VC is nothing but common mode voltage. So V1 plus V2 by 2, the average of two input voltages. So 5000 into V1 minus V2. So what is V1 here? So it is nothing but 300 microvolts minus 240 microvolts plus 50 into average of this. So 300 plus 240 micro divided by 2. So now from this, so it is 5000 into, so it is 60 microvolts plus 50 into, so it is 540, that is it is 270 microvolts. So now if you do the calculations, approximately you will get it as 313.5 millivolts. Okay, so it is the value of output voltage of your differential amplifier, so with the given specifications. So similarly you have to have the value of CMRR, so when it is value is 10 to the power of 5. So like this, with the same formulas you can derive it. Okay, so this is how you can do it. So next one, let us see how a differential amplifier can be constructed. So we have seen the block diagram of differential amplifier, and we said that so differential amplifier is nothing but the output is equal to the amplification of difference of two input signals. So now let us see uh, that let us see the transistorized differential amplifier here. So the transistorized differential amplifier basically uses the two emitter biased circuits, so which are identical in characteristics. So it uses two emitter biased circuits. So emitter biased circuits means so these are the emitter biased circuits. So it is the base, so this is plus VCC. So this is the resistor collector resistors RC1. Let the transistor as Q1. So it is the emitter here. So it is the collector and it is the base. So here there is RE1. So emitter resistance, and this emitter resistance is connected to the minus VEE. So it is the emitter biased circuit here. So in order to design a differential amplifier, we require two identical emitter biased circuits. So now take one more emitter biased circuit, so which is identical from the first one. So identical in the sense, so these have the same characteristics, so same values and same characteristics. So Q1 and Q2 are the two transistors which have same characteristics. So RC1 is equal to RC2, so it is the collector and it is the emitter, and RE1 is equal to RE2, and the value of VCC the resistances RC1 and RC2 are equal, while two emitter resistance RE1 and RE2 are also equal. So from this what you can say, RC1 is equal to RC2 and RE1 is equal to RE2, and the magnitudes of plus VCC and minus VE are also same. So both plus VCC and minus VE, so they are opposite in polarity, but whatever the voltages we are giving at plus VCC and minus VE are same. Okay, so now how the differential amplifier can be obtained means, so we can obtain this as follows. So let us see that first how you can obtain means the magnitudes of both the VCC are connected together. So and also this is achieved by connecting emitter E1 of Q1 to the emitter E2 of Q2. So that means first we have to connect the emitter Q1 to emitter Q2. So take two transistors. Okay, so these are the two transistors. Okay, so connect emitter Q1 to emitter Q2. How you can construct a differential amplifier from the transistorized differential amplifiers. Okay, so first take two emitter coupled bias circuits which are equivalent as shown in the figure. So in order to design the differential amplifier, first step is, so first we have to connect the emitters of Q1 transistor. So you can see here, so in the first, so the emitter, this one. Okay, so the emitter of Q1 is connected with the emitter of Q2. So due to this, what happens if you connect these two here? So these two, if you are connecting these two transistors, okay, so RE1 and RE2 will be in parallel. So they look like RE1 and RE2. So they will be in parallel here. Okay, so parallel, they will be in parallel, and these can be combined and replaced by a single resistance. So after connecting these two here, okay, so RE1 and RE2 will be parallel, and this can be connected as a single resistance source. The parallel value of resistor as taken as RE. Okay, so down there is both the resistors are connected to, so you can see here both the resistors are connected to minus VEE. So here also the resistor is connected to minus VEE. Okay, so after this, the next step is the base of Q1 is connected to the VS1. So the base is connected to the input voltage source via the resistor RS. Okay, so next, similarly, the base of Q2 transistor is connected to the voltage source VS2. So it is the Q1 is connected to the voltage source VS1 through the resistor RS. Okay, next, the supply, next what we have to do is that, so next we have to connect by using the collectors here. The collectors of the both the transistors are connected through the resistor RC1 and RC2 to the plus VCC. Okay, so these are connected to the plus VCC, and the supply voltages negative terminals are grounded. So next, we have given the two outputs VS1 and VS2. The outputs, the balanced output here. Here for the common emitter, we will be getting for two output voltages here normally at the so at the collector we get two output voltages. So in order to take the balanced output, so you can take the output across two collectors, so which is nothing but the balanced output, or else you can take the output at the one collector. If the output can be taken between two collectors, so then it is called as balanced output or double-ended output, like this as shown. If the output is taken only across one collector, means that type of output is referred to as unbalanced output or single-ended output. So this is how a differential amplifier is constructed. Okay, so let us summarize that. So in order to design a differential amplifier, so using the basic BJT transistors, so first we have to take two emitter biased circuits. So these emitter biased circuits should be identical in terms of characteristics. Okay, so next, the bases of two emitter biased circuits so are connected to the two voltage sources VS1 and VS2. So they can also be taken as V1 and V2. So after that, next, through the emitter, so the emitters of Q1 and Q2 are connected together. So when they are connected together, so RE1 resistor will be in parallel to RE2. So therefore the resultant value RE is taken, and that RE value is connected to minus VEE. So similarly, the collectors of Q1 and Q2 are connected to the VCC. So the outputs of these are taken at the two collectors. So if the output is taken between the two collectors, then it is called as balanced output or double-ended output. So if the output is taken only across one collector, then it is known as unbalanced output or single-ended output. So this is nothing but the construction of differential amplifier. So whatever the differential amplifier we are seeing on the screen, it is dual input balanced output differential amplifier. So dual input means, so this differential amplifier is having two inputs. Okay, though it is called as dual input. So balanced output means the output is taken across two collectors, so it is known as the balanced output. Okay, so similarly there are four configurations of differential amplifier. The first configuration is which we have seen, dual input balanced output. Okay. Second configuration is the voltage will be rejected here and the output voltage. Okay, so the output voltage is taken across only one collector, dual input, the two inputs, and unbalanced output means voltage is taken only across the one collector. So next one is dual input, sorry, single input balanced output. So single input means, so here what it is taken is so directly output means the output is taken across the two terminals here. Okay, so output is taken across the two collectors. Next configuration is single input unbalanced output. So single input means only one output will be there, and unbalanced means the output is taken only across one collector. So it is nothing but the dual, sorry, single input unbalanced output. So these are the four configurations of your differential amplifier. The first configuration is dual input balanced output differential amplifier, means it has two inputs and the output is taken across the two collectors. Second configuration of differential amplifier is dual input unbalanced output. So dual input unbalanced output means, so input dual input means it has two inputs and the output is taken across only one collector. Next, single input balanced output. Single input balanced output means, so the input has only one input but the output is taken across the two collectors. Single input and unbalanced output means, so it has single input and the output is taken across only one collector. So this is the four configurations of your differential amplifier. So in the next class, maybe we will see the differential mode operation and the common mode operation of your differential amplifier. So now time is there. So now let us only see that. So now here, so it is the resistor RC2. So take a common mode gain, nothing but so common output here. So it is nothing but V0. So the balanced output, and here you consider the dual input here. Okay, so V2. So the different, let us see that it has two modes of operation, differential amplifier. First mode is differential mode operation and second one is common mode operation. Okay, so in the differential mode, the two input signals are different from each other. So VS1 and V1 and V2 are VS1 and VS2. So these are different from each other. So consider the two input signals. So V1 and what you take is, so V1, so consider V1 and V2 are two input signals which are same in magnitude, but they are 180 out of phase. So that means the AC signal what you apply at the V2, so it is the V1 input voltage. So these are same in magnitude but 180 degrees out of phase. So out of phase means it is the V1 voltage and it is the V2 voltage what you are applying. So they are 180 degrees out of phase. Okay. So now assume that, okay, the sine wave on the base of Q1 is positive while positive going, while on the base of Q2 is negative. So as per the inputs, for the Q1 we are giving the positive input voltage, that is the positive peak of the sine here. So for the Q2 we are giving the negative peak first. Okay, so with a positive going signal on the base of Q1, an amplified negative going signal develops across the collector. So since this is the circuit what we are defining here is nothing but emitter biased circuits. So since the input is positive here, so the output what you will be getting is negative output here. So amplified negative output you will get first. So after this again we are giving the negative signal here. So therefore the positive signal will be the output here. Similarly, first we are giving negative signal here. So therefore first here at the RC2, so you get a positive signal. So after giving the positive signal here, see we are getting the negative signal. Why? Because so it is the functionality of your emitter biased circuit. Next, so the signal voltage across RE. So whatever the signal voltages are there across the RE due to the effect of Q1 and Q2 are equal in magnitude and 180 out of phase. So hence these two signal cancel each other and there is no signal across the resistances. So here the amplified signal what you are getting across the Q1 and Q2. Okay, so this what it will does is that as the whatever the signals we are getting across outputs, so these are amplified and we will be getting the outputs also equal in magnitude and 180 out of phase due to the usage of matched pair of transistors. So hence these two signals cancel each other and there is no signal present across the emitter resistance. Hence there is no AC current. Okay, so while output is taken across the two collectors Q1 and Q2, the two output collectors are equal in magnitude but opposite in polarity. So as for example same in magnitude you can see here. Okay, so the output what it is, you take it is 10 volts and it is minus 10 volts here. So you take here it is plus 10 volts and it is minus 10 volts here. So now what happens, that outputs are both equal in magnitude and opposite in polarity what we have seen. So that means, so here for example at this point it is plus 10 volts. Okay, they are 180 degrees out of phase means you can take it as minus. Okay, and here the output is first output is minus 10, so therefore it is minus 10 here. So now what will be the voltage? 20 volts will be the voltage. So like this, if you are giving the differential input voltages, automatically what happens is that so we are getting the amplified output. But in case of common mode gain, what happens if that signal next, if you see the common mode operation, if the signal supplied to the base of the transistors here, so this is the differential signal. So now for example to see the common mode operation, so to see the common mode operation here, so you take a same positive signal across the both the inputs. So if you take the same positive signal across the two inputs here, okay, so what happens? So if you take the positive same positive signal here, so since we are giving the positive here, what you get the negative signal like this. So for across this collector also you get the negative signal like this. So since these are in same phase here, so what happens, minus 10 plus 10, so it becomes 0. So same, these are in same phase. So if you take the output across the two collectors, automatically the output will be 0 across the collectors. Okay, so this is how the common mode and the differential mode operation of differential amplifier works. Okay, so this is for the day.